Here we are in the QBO gym, and the QBO gym is a place where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do a full month of exercises all on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's get started with today's exercise, which is being pulled from our May Year 1 cardio section, where we really focus on those basic skills. At the top here is an animated video to tell you what you, the bookkeeper, will be doing for your client, Craig, this month. Below that is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to the video up above. Under that are all of the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here, after you have gone through all of the exercises in this section, you will unlock some sample marketing posts that you can use on your LinkedIn to share with everybody what you have learned so far. So let's get into today's exercise where we are going to practice receiving payments. Click on that link to have the exercise pulled up for you. I have it over here on the right side, so let's read through the scenario. Craig received 3 checks since you last visited. You will need to apply them to their outstanding invoices. Click on the link beneath the cardio video to grab a copy of these checks. We will use them for this exercise. So if you scroll back to the top here, this is the animated video, and below that is a button that says checks. Go ahead and click on that to download the checks. Once you do and you open it up, this is what it will look like. You can see there's a check from Amy's Bird Sanctuary, Paulson Medical Supplies, and then Sunshine Family Store. So let's go ahead and get into today's exercise. You will need to be in the sample company to do it. Now, if you're not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBO account, be sure to click on the link in the description. I have it over here on the left side of my screen. This is the dashboard and what it will look like once you sign in. And as a note here, you will need to keep this session of the sample company open for this exercise and the next exercise. They build on each other, so it's important to keep it open if you want to move on to the next exercise after this one. But let's get started with the exercise. First, we are going to receive payment for Amy's Bird Sanctuary, which is check number 142 for $239. So to receive the payment here, we need to click on the plus new button and then select receive payment. The plus new button is on the top left corner of the screen. Click on that and then under customers, select receive payment. Now, once it comes up, we're going to fill it out. In the customer field, let's go ahead and select Amy's Bird Sanctuary. So click on that down arrow in the customer field, and then Amy's Bird Sanctuary is right there at the top. In the payment method field, we're going to select check. So that is right here. Go ahead and click that down arrow, select check. And as a note here, we're just going to leave the payment date as is. It is defaulting to today's date, but in a real life scenario, you want to make sure that that payment date is the date that matches when you're receiving the payment. So just keep that in mind. For this exercise, we'll leave it as is. We're also going to leave this deposit to field on or as is as well. There is to undeposited funds. And undeposited funds is that holding accounts that is used when you receive payment. It is before checks or cash physically make their way into the bank. You have to have it in undeposited funds so that once it does physically make its way to the bank, you can use a bank deposit transaction to record that deposit being made. And that is something different than what we are doing here in this exercise, but just keep in mind, this is the account that you would use as that holding account until you make that deposit. So in the reference number field, we're going to type 142 because that is the check number right here. So click into that reference number field, type 142. And as I mentioned here, that the undeposited funds is already selected because it's the holding account used until the check is physically deposited into the bank. So let's keep on moving on. So we're going to click on the checkbox next to invoice 1021. So click on that checkbox right there. And since the amount of the check, which is $239, matches the amount that is owed on the invoice, there's nothing left to do. You can see that because this is the original invoice, that $459, but there is an open balance for $239, which matches the check, so everything is good to go here. Now we do have some additional checks to process, so let's go ahead and click on the down arrow next to Save and Close to select Save and New. So that down arrow is right here. Click on that and then select Save and New. And now we have received payment for Amy's, and let's move on to Paulson Medical Supplies. They sent a check, which is check number 36 for $854.75. So let's go ahead and fill out this received payment transaction. Click the down arrow right here, and you can either scroll down to Paulson or you can start typing it into the field. Once you do find it, go ahead and select it, and you will see his information appear for you. Now, once again, in the payment method field, we need to select check since that is what was received. Click that down arrow, select check, and then in the reference number field, let's go ahead and type what is the check number. So 00036. So click into that reference box, type 00036. The deposit to field is still showing as undeposited funds, which is exactly what we want. Now let's go ahead and click the checkbox next to 1015. So click that checkbox next to there, and you will see that it is showing automatically as the payment being $954.75 because that is what the open balance is for. But the amount of the check is $100 less than the amount owed on the invoice. It's very possible that they worked out an arrangement about this with Craig or that they made a mistake when cutting the check. Either way, you will need to make sure that Craig knows about this and that you receive direction on how to handle it. But for our purposes, we will apply the full payment and leave the $100 owing on the account. So the full payment that they made was $854.75. So in that amount field, either the amount received field or in the payment field, either way is fine. You can go ahead and delete that 9 to put an 8 instead. If you hit the tab key over, you will see that now QBO has updated the amount that has been received. And you can see it automatically adjusts the payment on the invoice right there. So we have one additional check to process. So let's go ahead and click on Save and New. Click on that green Save and New button on the bottom right corner of the screen. That received payment for Paulson Medical Supplies has been saved, and now we have a brand new transaction to fill out for Sunshine Family Store. They sent check number 1053,810 for $362.07. So let's go ahead and fill this transaction out. In the customer field, you can go ahead and click into it and scroll, or you can do what I'm doing and just start typing in their name. Once you find it, go ahead and click on it, leaving the payment date as is for the purposes of this exercise. And then in the payment method field, it is a check that was received. So click the down arrow, select check. And then we're going to, in the reference number field, type the check number that is found right here. So that is check number 1053,810. Right, I did that correct. Yep. And then the deposit to field is still showing as undeposited funds, which is exactly what we want. Let's go ahead and click on the checkbox next to invoice 1037, which is right here. Click on that checkbox. It is automatically showing as what is the open balance at $362.07, which is exactly what their check was for. So since this is matching the open balance here, there is nothing left to do on this one. So we are going to go ahead and click the down arrow next to Save and New to select Save and Close. So go ahead and click on that down arrow. Select Save and Close. And now that payment has been saved as well. And that is it. That is how you would receive payments. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. We're going to move through the cardio section, and if you're going to continue on, be sure to leave this session of the sample company open, as you will need it for the next exercise where we practice recording a bank deposit. And I will see you in the next video.